Hey everybody, Lizzie Brooks here. Welcome to Where Muscle Meets Mindful. So for today we're going to focus a little bit more on the muscle part. Of course we'll be breathing, of course we'll be mindful through it, but we'll be doing more weights today. So go ahead and grab one weight and let's make it a little heavier. So if you're not used to weights, then maybe 5 pounds would be good here. If you're used to them, then you probably have a good idea of where you need to be. We're going to take one weight and we're going to bring it over the body. We're going to come down onto our backs. So go ahead and join me. And we'll come on down. Draw the organs towards the spine, elongate the low back towards the floor so that you're feeling that there's not really a London Bridge here. So draw that down and then bring your weight one side in each hand above you, okay? And then from here, keep your elbows where they are, basically right above the shoulders. Keep hugging the organs towards the spine. And we're gonna take that weight halfway down and all the way back up. So these are called skull crushers. What a beautiful name. Don't crush your skull. If you notice that your weight is too heavy, take a lighter weight. And so from here, if you're really drawing those organs down towards the floor, you'll start to feel this in the trunk of the body, not just in the arms. So make sure you're breathing. If you want to take the weight lower than 90 degrees, more towards the forehead, feel free to do that, or the back of the head. And then if you want to just make a baby little bend, make a little baby bend. My triceps are already quivering here with this 12-pound weight. Let's do 2 more. Down, not going fast, and all the way back up. Down, and slowly back up. All right, so from here we're gonna come up to seated. If you can, keep pressing your weight away from you. Bring the knees in, get a little elongation to the back, and we're gonna do a little rock and roll. So this doesn't have to look perfect, but if you can, roll up to seated and lift your weight up. All right, so we're gonna go back down. If that was a little too much, this is where you switch your weight. I'm gonna wait for you. Switch your weight. And then roll back down. Draw those organs back. Reach the weight above you. Draw the knees in. Draw the knees a little bit back. And then we're going to roll up, seated, and press up. And one more time like that. Bring the soles of the feet in front of you. Arms are going to reach gently in front of the shoulders. Slowly roll down, getting that deep core involvement. Shoulders right underneath the hands, and then draw the knees in. And you can take a few rock and rolls here, and as you're ready, come up to seated, reach the block up. Now I'm going to face you here, and we're just going to hold, breathe, and then as you're ready, we're going to do what we did prior on the floor. You might feel that as you do this, and when I say it's not the exact same thing. What I mean is you're bending your elbows and then taking the forearms back up. But it's a different positioning. So instead of being here and bending, the arms are alongside of the ears, elbows gently hugging in so you're not splaying to the sides, draw in, and any amount down and up. And it could be that baby press. This is again going to be more through the upper back, the lats, shoulder blades, and of course the triceps. 2 more. Press it up, down and back, and press it up. Be very mindful about how you lower that weight in front of you. Place it in your hand, and let's go for a light set of weights. So from here, I'm gonna do 5s. You can do from half a pound all the way up. And again, if you're stronger than me, do more than I'm doing. We're gonna come to all 4s. If you need a blanket under your knees, place your blanket now. Hands are on each weight. Again, support through the abdominals, and we will bend the elbow of one arm. You can choose back and down, back and down. And when I'm coming down, I'm coming more underneath the shoulder than just straight to the side right now. We're gonna change it in a second, but we're gonna take it up, back to where we started for a hover, up, and back to where we started for a hover. So this is the whole core working, shoulder, arm, and back. One more like that, and back to where you started. Now we'll change it up where we're just gonna go up and down, right next to the side body. Bring that elbow up, engage through the back body, and down for the hover. Not for a dropping the weight down, just for a hover. Twice more, and down. Last one, and down. And then we'll do the other side. So you're gonna lift up and back, and go back to where you started. Lift up and back to where you started. So stay with that movement and incorporate your breathing. If you notice at any time that you're collapsing at the lumbar spine, re-support and go back into the movement. One more like that, and then we'll do right next to the body. So lifting the elbow up, go back down right below. Lift up, right below. Stay focused on that breath, and if you're tensing through the jaw, see if you can relax that. 3 more, 2, and 1. Bring the weights in front of you, walk them forward, and stretch it back into a child's pose. We're just working that side body. Let's stretch that out. Hips can come to the heels. Let me fix my little mic here. And knees can be together or separated. If you don't have the flexibility to come to a full child's pose, come to a partial child's pose. And if it feels better to be in a puppy pose, you can come here. All right, so now we're gonna make our way up to standing. So I would take one heavy weight. So again, you're choosing how heavy that weight is. I'm gonna grab 115, not 115, not 115, are you crazy? 1 15-pound weight. And we're gonna go into a wide stance. So toes and knees are gonna point the same direction. And from here, just gauge. So you can hold your weight and kind of test the legs first. So looking left and right and making sure you have roughly the knee tracking over the second toe. I just don't want you to avoid going too low that it destabilizes you, or that you're sending the pelvis way forward and torquing at the knees. So feel the big toe ball joint, the pinky toe ball joint, and the heels of both feet really pressing down. Then take your weight in your hands and hang the arms down. So we're moving from the arms and the back to the legs. This time there's a little lower and a little lift. So sometimes when we're doing weight training, we go into squats, which is great, with the legs together or slightly separated. And we skip this more sumo squat, which of course gets a little bit more to different areas. And the external rotators on at the glutes, and also some inner thigh stuff. So if you want a little more inner thigh, go to your squat, press down into your heels a little bit more, and you'll feel that activate. Slowly up, slowly down, rooting the heels, not just the front of the feet. Up and down. At any time, I'll keep reminding you, if your weight is too heavy, exchange it or skip the weight completely. 2 and 1. Hold, breathe. And then whatever doesn't need to be working, let that soften. So the breath, the jaw, the area around the eyes, let the mind work a little less. Breathing here. Inhale, slower than you want to go. Come all the way up. Turn the toes forward, heel toe in, so you get a little more structure underneath you. Grab your weight in one hand, and then go ahead and let's go for less than that, for 2 weights. So I'm gonna grab 2 10s. If you wanna use the same weight the whole time, use the same weight the whole time. Here's where we'll go for that squat I was talking about. It's a little more classic. Feet underneath the sitting bones, maybe hips distance apart if that's better for you. Hinge at the hips, so not pointing the knees forward. I'll always remind you, hinge those hips back. Make it a little more glute focused, not collapsing, not rounding, but really nice and stable in between. And it's a little hard to tell in the shirt I'm wearing today, but just find support front and back. And we'll just bend and straighten here. This time, you're just continuing to allow the arms to be pretty straight with the weights at the end. And you're not going into this big, deep squat here, okay? So hips stay higher than the knees. Still rooting the feet in the same way that you did in your wide sumo squat, where you're feeling all of the points, the big toe ball joint, pinky toe ball joint, and heel rooting down. 2 more times here. And last one. Good. And then soften the arms, soften the neck and the jaw. Let's go a little wider than hips distance apart with the feet. Rotate the palms forward and take yourself into your basic bicep curl. Slowly up and down. And then from here, we'll go into a static hold. Lift your heels, working the calves, working the balance. Lower the heels. Bring the weights all the way to the shoulders. Rotate the forearms forward, the underside of the forearms forward, and lift the weights up. Come all the way down, rotate back to where you started for that bicep curl. Reach the weights up, rotate the underside of the forearms forward, reach up, and back down the same way that you came. Let's do that sequence 2 more times. Up, rotate, press, slowly back down, rotate, and take it down. Last one, guys. Draw it up, rotate forward, press. And I want to say that about the press. Don't tilt your hips forward and hang out in the back. Stay stable through the entire trunk. Reach back towards the shoulders, rotate, and now slower than you want to go. We'll take those weights all the way back down. Rotate them in, soften out the shoulders, and place your weights down. So you don't need a weight right now. Just soften the hands, shake that out. Take a few rolls, one arm, and then the other arm. Good. Soften that out and send the head around into a circle here. Good. Let's go medium to low weights here, and we'll go right into the shoulders. So hang your weights down in front of you and then lift them up roughly shoulder height. So you can take the elbows straight up and pause, as long as that feels okay for the shoulders. Bringing it up. You can always add more weight. I was starting to breathe a little bit heavy into the mic, so I'm reducing my weight. If I wasn't talking, I could probably go up more. All right, we're gonna make a small change to this after this rep. Draw it up and then back down. The change we're making is we're gonna draw it up and then out, together, and down. And when I say together, the weights aren't touching, they're just coming closer. Up, out, towards one another, and down. So this becomes more focused in the back body. Ooh, those shoulders are feeling it. Back and down. Let's do 2 more. Up, roll it back, hug the shoulder blades, bring it back, and slowly down. This is the last one. Hallelujah. Reach up. Take it back. Bring it together or forward and slowly down. Let the arms hang. And again, we'll address any tension through the shoulders, the neck. Maybe the back has to round out a little bit here. Whew. All right, so either stay with this weight or go up just a tad, and we'll come to the floor again, bringing focus back to the legs. So if you can grab a blanket or a towel under your knees, that's going to be useful to you. And I'm going to show you from the side. I'm going to use 2 10s. And if you can tuck your toes under behind you without your heels going to the sides or in so much, but try to reach them straight back. If they go a little bit outer in, that's okay. I just want you to get that toe stretch while we can, and more bang for your buck. And then from here, reach the blocks, and I'm always going to call these blocks. I'm a 20-year yoga teacher. Weights in front of you. And reach your hips back. Reach the weights forward and down. So I'm not just saying forward or down, but a little bit down and a little bit forward as the hips hinge back. The hips aren't touching the heels. They're somewhere in between, okay? So let's bring it all together. Weights come forward and down, hips hinge back. Slowly come up to where you started. Hinging forward, letting those weights reach slightly forward and all the way up. You're drawing those organs towards the spine gently, and you're coming back up. Inner thighs are softly active, and if you're like me, you're already feeling this in your glutes, okay? This is a big one for the glutes, and it's not done very often. I see a lot of this work kind of coming from standing or bridge pose coming from the back, but this is actually my favorite way to get more glutes and some hamstrings, okay? So reaching and rising, twice more. Take it forward and up, and let's do one more with a hold. Hinging slightly back, pause, breathe, and then we're gonna take one elbow up, down to where you started. Other elbow, down to where you started. Asymmetrical work with that hold through the core and the hips. And up. One more each side. If this is too much weight, you know what to do. Good. And then we'll hinge all the way up, soften. Oh, I'm glad that's done. And we are done with that set of weights. This time, either come to a child's pose like you did before for a stretch, or if you're familiar with a downward facing dog, you can take your hips up and back and pedal it out here. Because of the glute work that we just did and the hamstring stuff, it might feel really nice to give some length there. Steady your breath. And then lower much slower than you want to go back to all fours, or if you're in a child's pose, rise up to all fours. All right, so from this position, we're going to go into a plank pose. If you don't want to incorporate weight because plank is already really challenging, then let's just go classic plank, either on the hands or on the forearms, or you can do your plank with your weights in your hands. So there's not a weight option if you're on your forearms, okay? So choose what works. Find your particular plank for today, with or without weights, and then rising up. To make this a little bit easier on balance, since we're gonna do some asymmetrical work, you might widen your stance a little bit with the feet so you actually have more of a balance side to side rather than focusing more on one point. And then from here, we're going to bring our weight to our midline and back. Weight towards the heart center and back. Heart and back. Heart and back. A couple more times. Bring it into the heart and back, and in to the heart and back. Then we'll go into our hold here, rocking this forward and back. The movement comes from the ankle joints. You're not bobbing the hips up and down. You're moving crown of the head to the heels, one nice line, that forward and back. Lots of that core stability here, breathing. And then lower slowly to the knees if you're not already there. Press back into downward dog or child's pose and pedal it out. Breath is key. If you lost it, you're human. Don't worry, come back to it. Slow and steady. And lowering back down. This time all fours. You're going to take one of your block. This is a weight, and you're going to place it behind one knee. So listen, if you have any issues with low back stuff, joint stuff, then skip the weight altogether here, please, because you'll still feel the work even without the weight. You only need one that goes behind one knee. Spread your fingers gently wide, find the support of your whole trunk, and then from here, lift that weight up. And you're just going to start to do a little press and a little lower. So what my leg likes to do is it likes to externally rotate and come out to the side. Well, that is one form of exercise, but for this purpose, I'm going to roll the front of that hip down a little bit more, and just within about a 2 to 3 inch range of movement, I'm going to press that up and down. So if you hadn't noticed, we are back in those glutes. It is a wonderful thing to strengthen the glutes. We are so kind of focused on strengthening the core, and we forget nice strong glutes. Really, really good, especially as we age. And maybe just 1 or 2 more with that slow, steady press. And then all the way back down. Woo. And then other side, placing your weight. Stabilize at the core, root gently into the hands, lifting it up. Rotate the front of the hip a little more down so there's slightly more internal rotation of the hip, and then pressing up. So I'm not trying to take my heel to my sitting bone. I'm more so imagining that I'm pressing the sole of the foot up to the ceiling. This is a real one where you can get tense in the jaw. So smile, pretend you're having a good time, and soldier on. Let's do 5 more. 1, 2, 3, stay with it. 4 and 5. Slowly come on down. Remove that weight carefully, and then again, are you taking a child's pose or a downward dog? Maybe a little bit of both. You can sway the hips a little side to side. If it's better for you to come to all fours, come down to all fours. And lower slowly, slowly down to the knees. We'll remove our blanket. If you like to wear shoes during your weight workout, that's just fine too. I tend to enjoy time barefooted, but again, that's up to you. We are going to come to standing, so if your feet are a little tender and you need to slip shoes on, do that. I'm going to show you from the side, and I'm going to grab 2 10s. Again, it's up to you. What do you want? We're going to step the right foot forward and the left leg back for a split stance. Hang the weights down. And you're not on a tightrope, so your right foot's more over to the right and your left foot's more over to the left. Bend, pause here. You're not tilting forward, the torso is more up. Go for any amount of length and then go back down to the bend. I like this one because A, it's hard work and it really does do a great amount of work for the legs, but also because there's an element of balance. Breathing here. And then let's do 2 more. And up, and down, and up. Good. And we're going to go ahead and just switch sides. So again, walking the left foot more to the left, right foot more to the right, hanging the weights down, and test it out. You don't have to come all the way to the amount of bend I'm doing, and you don't even have to come all the way straight. I actually find that it's easier when you come all the way straight. It kind of gives the muscles a chance to relax a little bit. But if you want to stay in the bend a little longer, then you could just kind of go from here, right? Oh, see, I told you it's a balance. 3 more. 2. And the last one. And all the way up. Feet go wide. Pause here. And then heel toe the feet in. All right, so release the blocks, shake out the arms, roll the shoulders just a few times here. We're just gonna come to a triangle pose. So turn your toes out towards, one set of toes towards your short edge. The other set turns in roughly, hands to the waist. Just take a little lateral. When you can't get really any more lateral comfortably, you can lower one hand down and one arm up. Breathing here. Again, getting into the back of the leg a little bit, side body. And all the way back up, and we'll just switch sides. So the way that I like to work out leaning and placement of the hands is that within the work, or during that harder work with the weights, I like to also incorporate stretching. And then again, recuperating my breath. This is also really nice. I'm feeling it right around that iliac crest and even through the psoas a little bit. Finding that tension where I didn't even know where it was. And then come all the way up. Turn the toes forward. Roll the shoulders back and down a few times. Heel toe in, and let's come on back down to the mat, choosing whatever weight you want. We're gonna be doing some pressing up and then some pecs. So we're gonna do triceps and pecs, all right? So whatever weight seems to be useful to you, if you want to work that transition we did before, grab one of them, reach it, and roll like you did at the beginning of this class, all the way down. And then from here, you will check in with the low back, knees are bent. Pause for a moment, just getting used to this new perspective. And then grab your weights, take your inner arms alongside of the side body, and just reach those weights right up above. And then from here, we'll press the weights up and then slide the inner arm right down by the sides. Press up and down. Now, the next couple, try not to put the triceps on the floor. So press up and go for a hover. Press up and go for a hover. All the while elongating, again, that low back towards the earth. So you're working the arms, yes, but you can work a lot of other areas of stability at the same time. Do one more like that, press and down. Now let's rotate out to the sides. Let the arms come to the floor for a moment as you find stability and as you find your alignment. Check in with the low belly. Pelvic floor might even be a little bit active here. And then press up and hover to the sides for your pectoral work. Pressing up, weights come closer together. If you came for perfection, I'm sure there's another YouTube channel for that. It's not this one. All right, and hover, press up, and hover. All right, now one arm is gonna hover, and the other is gonna go into that movement, okay? So it doesn't have to be fast. You're letting one arm be static and one arm do that dynamic movement. And then let's switch. Then we go into the hover there, and we'll continue to move on the other side. Doesn't have to be as fast as this, could be much slower, and even slower can be harder. And then turn the weights in and place them down. Bring the legs forward. Whoop, there goes my soccer mom mug. Reach the arms back. Get a full body stretch. Reach. Good. And now hug the knees in. Maybe rock a little side to side. And let's do that roll from before, but without the weight. So hands can be on the knees or reaching forward. Rock and roll, all the way up to seated. And from here, come to on your knees or sitting any other way that feels okay for you here. We're gonna lift the hips off the heels, take the fingertips, point them towards the knees. If I'm doing a weight practice, I never skip this. So when you're using weights, you're drawing in here, you're really contracting the underside of the forearms and they get very, very strong, which is lovely, but we wanna stretch them out too. So fingertips turn towards you. This might be plenty. If you need a little more stretch, reach your heels back a little bit. Breathe here. You might even peel the hands slowly away, sole of the hand, and then the fingertips all the way up. Shake that out. Good. And then if there are any stretches you would like to do, then please add those on. So this was sort of just a quick weight-focused practice, but I would love if you do some more stretching and rejuvenating and even maybe a shavasana or some rest at the end. So thank you so much for joining me for this weights practice. And let me know if there's anything that you're looking for in particular in the comments below. And please like and subscribe. It means the world to me as I navigate through making online content. So thank you so much for joining me. Have a wonderful day. Namaste, everyone.